Hello, everybody. Coach Michael McBride here from ripped411.com, and welcome back to Instagram Bootcamp Day 4. Today we are talking all about that pound sign, or sharps, or hashtags. That's what it is. That's what they're calling that little shape now, the tic-tac-toe sign. And it reminded me of this story. When I was a kid, I went fishing with my dad. It was just he and I. He took us out for like a weekend fishing trip, and I was standing next to him. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, didn't really know how to fish, but he just said, put the pole in the line in the water, and we're standing next to each other. And about an hour or two later, I hadn't caught a thing. And do you know what he told me? He told me to put my line where the fish are. Actually, I completely made up that story. That never happened. But it's the very same thing with what we're doing with hashtags. So the hashtags are the pond, and it is important that you put your pole, your line, in the pond where there's the right kind of fish that you want. And you don't want the pond to be too small, like a little puddle where there's maybe no fish, or like one fish flopping around in a puddle. And you don't want to just put it in the open ocean where you could be catching, I don't know, manta rays and seaweed. You want to make sure that you're putting your line in the place where your fish are. So first of all, what is a hashtag? For those who are completely new to this language, a hashtag it looks like that tic-tac-toe sign, like that, and it's just simply a method of organizing content so that content can be searchable. So for example, if there is a post and you have put in the comments or the caption hashtag love, then every time somebody searches for hashtag love, then your picture is going to come up. And this is a way that people find new content and are getting discovered. So that's what a hashtag is. Now, hashtags originally were created for a very functional purpose, to organize content. They're huge on Twitter. It's kind of where the language really started to take hold, and now Instagram is on it, and Facebook is now integrating hashtags as well. However, usually Facebook users don't really search hashtags that frequently. But there's also a completely different way that people use hashtags, and that's to be expressive. It's this slang for expressing some sort of an irony or an inner thought. Like if somebody says, I love leg day, and then hashtag said no one ever, it's a way that people just kind of communicate what their inner thoughts are. So they're not necessarily interested in creating a hashtag that is searchable, that people will find them by, but it's just kind of a little inside joke. But that is a really important lesson to learn as you're using hashtags. If your intent is to be discoverable, then you need to use a hashtag that people are searching for. If you make up some hashtag like hashtag my keyboard is red and it's really awesome and my age is 35, then nobody else is going to be finding that hashtag. So it's really kind of a waste of space. So make sure that you're using your hashtags in a very functional way, unless you're telling a joke. Sometimes that's something you want to do. I do it all the time. So a couple days ago, I wanted to do some research about hashtags and how people use them on Instagram in particular. And I conducted a poll with some of my friends and followers on Instagram and asked them, how many of you actively search with hashtags? Or are you a person who spends all of their time in the scroll? And I gotta say that it was actually kind of 50-50. I was kind of surprised. Personally, I don't spend a lot of time searching hashtags. I probably should. In fact, let me show you the poll here. But I end up spending most of my time on the scroll. There we go. We can do this. There we go. I said, question for you. Had a nice selfie, as we established yesterday. And let me just kind of show you the results of this poll. Greg does. By the way, this Go Patterson 81 is one of the stylists on Project Runway. Score! Yeah, so a couple people say yes, they do. Some people are saying not really, just in the scroll. So it's kind of half and half. So I wanted to just really get a sense of what are people doing on social media with their hashtags. Because that means for us, for using hashtags, the way that I translate that is I think that sometimes you can have hashtags on it, and then sometimes you don't really need to put hashtags on your photos. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So let's talk about how to find the right hashtags. Now, I put down below in our comments, in our activities, a couple websites and articles that you can go to see what are the top trending hashtags at any moment. And you can see like the top 100 hashtags that are most frequently used. There's a strategy for using hashtags. And whether you're using super popular hashtags or super unpopular hashtags or someplace in the middle, consider this. If you use one of the most popular hashtags, which is hashtag love or hashtag follow or hashtag me, let me stop screen share, there we go. Then your photo is going to be tagged in that stream. And if somebody is searching for it, then they may see it within the 2.5-second window that it's present in their feed. Otherwise, it's going to be just washed down with all of the other millions of posts with that same very popular hashtag. It's also not really connected to your niche. It's everybody. And of course, if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. On the other hand, if you use a hashtag that is so specific and niche oriented that maybe there's only like 13 people in the world that are using it, the likelihood that those 13 people are on at that moment is very, very low. So I believe that it is most recommended to use a hashtag that's somewhere in the middle. Or use a variety of hashtags, maybe a couple that are really popular, and then some that are like third tier, and then some that are not super popular as well. But let's talk about how do you get to the right hashtags for you. This is kind of like the holy grail. So of course you can live search these popular hashtags. You can also do a live search on Instagram. Let me show you here. This is kind of cool. Go back to my screen share. Zoom, yes. So if I want to post this, which I'm going to post in a second, if you write a hashtag in the caption, let's say, I don't know, start with R, or let's say funny, then it actually shows you how many posts there are using those hashtags or other kinds of variations of that. So if you do hashtag funny with 83 million posts, then that's going to flow very quickly in the feed of those who are searching for funny. But if you do, I don't know, funny Tumblr, then that's only almost 1 million. So that's one way that you can search to see what are the most active hashtags that are used right within Instagram. Now, how do we know what are the best hashtags to make? The most important thing is they need to be personal and they need to be connected to you. And you can get this none other than the assignment that you did 2 days ago, which is your different list, as well as your avatar. So if you are really interested in I don't know, veganism, then hashtagging things that are related to veganism is going to be the best thing for you to do. So make sure that your hashtags are really specific to you. In fact, you'll find that you will use a lot of the same hashtags over and over. There is a limit to the number of hashtags that you can use. Instagram limits you to 30 hashtags connected to a picture. So make sure that you're choosing them wisely. So as I said, typically we have a lot of the same hashtags that we use, and instead of typing it in over and over again, you can actually create a shortcut or store it in your notes in your phone. So you can actually just go to your notes and create a new document, and then say hashtag FitLife, hashtag gamer, so forth and so on. And then you can copy and paste from your notes directly into your comment. So that's one way. There's another way that you can do, and this is specifically for those who have iPhones, although I'm sure that there's a way to do this on Android as well, and that's to create a keyboard shortcut, which is you go into Settings, go to General, down to Keyboard, and Text Replacement. And if you press plus, then you can write in whatever hashtags you want here. Let's say FitFam, hashtag lift heavy, and then I'll create one more, hashtag never stop. And then under the shortcut, thank you, Guy, you can say, I'm going to queue this group of hashtags. Let's say I have like 2 different categories of hashtags. One that's all about being a parent of a dog, and then the other is all about fitness. So this is going to be all about fitness. So I can say this is going to be shortcut hashtag 1 or 2. So if I put hashtag 2, then when I go back into Instagram, click next, and I write hashtag 2, then my predicted text at the bottom is going to give me the option to autofill all of the hashtags that are connected to that shortcut. Okay, so now that you have your list of hashtags, you know how to get them in easily, where to place the hashtags. Now, as you can see here, these hashtags are in the comments, or in the caption. I do not recommend placing the majority of your hashtags within the caption. Maybe 1 or 2 if it's super important in kind of the structure of your caption. But really the best thing to do is to place them, write your caption as you normally would, and then place your hashtags in the first comment, or as the first comment that you can. Sometimes people start liking and commenting before you can get to it. So if I'll walk you through there. Let's see, FitFam, lift, I don't want these hashtags there. My ideal life. Okay, and then let's share. And then in my first comment, that's where I can place my hashtags. Just like that. So the reason we do that, and I'm actually going to remove this just because I want to think about that a little bit more. So the reason we do that is because sometimes we want to test out hashtags, and you can actually delete hashtags or delete comments, and you can replace them with others to either test out certain hashtags that are working better for you, or if you want to refresh hashtags, then you can put them in there. Now, about a year ago, Instagram was set up so that if you put in a whole new set of hashtags, it would bump that post all the way to the top of the feed. They changed that a couple months ago so that it actually does not change the order of that in the feed. So there's not as much of a benefit to replacing those 30 hashtags with 30 new hashtags. It still maintains its area within that feed, unless you're using hashtags that are not very popular, where it's not going to be lost within a really fast feed. Next, should those hashtags stay there? And I'll go, yeah, I think I can stop my share. Should those hashtags stay there? If you have time, if you can think about it, after about 2 or 3 days, it's a good idea to go back into that comment section and delete those hashtags. At that point, that picture has gone through the feed of the people who are searching for that hashtag, so it's way buried down. Nobody's going to find it because of those hashtags. And if you are constantly putting 30 hashtags on every single post and people see that as they're going through your page, it does look desperate. So a great way to clean that up and to make people marvel about how much engagement you have on your photos is to remove those hashtags in the comment. Although if you go through my page, there's a bunch that I've just left there. But if you have time, it's a great idea to do that. Great. So that's kind of the lowdown on hashtags. I have specifically not shared with you specific hashtags, especially the ones that I use, because you need to guard your hashtags. They are your buried treasure. This is like where you have been in the California gold rush and you found there's this one area where every time you strike, you find gold. And of course, you don't want to tell a lot of people where all that gold is. So once you find hashtags that work for you, keep them to yourself. They will usually be related to your niche. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about interacting with content, interacting with other people's content. There's a really great technique that I learned from Chalene Johnson called the 5-3-1 technique that is a fantastic way of generously offering love and attention to other people so that when they see what you're doing, so when they see what you're doing, they will probably reciprocate and follow you and form a relationship. And it goes like this. You find somebody that you feel like you have something in common with that is in your niche, your avatar, and go through their page, like 5 of their pictures, comment on 3, and then follow. And I like to revise that a little bit. The 3 comments, make 2 of them some sort of encouragement or some sort of cool observation, and then make the 3rd one a question. Questions tend to elicit answers, and you want engagement. So that's a great thing to do. Now, one little caveat on this, don't scroll really far down their page to posts that they've made like 2 years ago and start commenting on that. It's super creepy. Good. Next, just a couple more things. I've noticed a lot of people so far in the bootcamp have been talking about how annoyed they are when people from other companies come and they comment on your page and they spam it and they instantly try to sell you something. And, of course, it's super annoying. I want us all to hold up a mirror to ourselves and make sure that we're not doing the very same thing. It's so easy to be like, such and such company is so spammy, I don't like them. But then we go to our pages and we're talking about the very same things just with our own products. And other people come to our page and they're like, uh-oh, this person is kind of crazy and kind of desperate. I don't really want to have anything to do with them. So just make sure that you are not doing the very same thing that's been annoying you about other people. Be a real person. You are marketing yourself. You're not marketing a product. You are the product. Great. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you, as I look at my notes up here, is how to use the direct message function. This is called DM. I'm going to go back up to my share screen. Yes, AirPlay. Okay, so there's a really cool thing that Instagram just instated a couple months ago where it's very easy to use the DM. And that is, you see this little arrow on the bottom of every single comment or every single picture. If you tap on that arrow, then it brings up a list of the people that you've been messaging with recently, and you can select them. Or if you tap on send to, then you can, let's see, BT693, then you can actually message anybody else. If you just tap on their icon and then write your message there and then press send, that's a way to direct message. So that's a way that you can, I'm going to exit out of this, that you can direct message with a picture that you find in your scroll. If you want to direct message with one of your own pictures, then you go through the process as if you were about to share it, and instead of sharing to followers, you're going to share it to direct. And here is where you can write your message, hi, and then you can search for the people that you want to direct message, and you can, I think you can select up to 15. Don't quote me on that. I hate group messages like that though, so if you don't have a really good reason, don't do it. Okay, so that is how to direct message. And that really concludes today, the topic for today. As you can see, there are comments below on exactly how I want you to be practicing this, so make sure you go through those steps. And then I've also included a few website resources that you can read about with how to find really great hashtags or very popular ones, as well as how to get to the top page, the top posts. As of, the article is kind of old and Instagram is changing all the time, but it's a really good read just to see how that works, and it's all about engagement within a certain time window. So that is all about hashtags. Go forth and hashtag. Remember that on your posts, include hashtag Instagram Bootcamp so we can all follow along with each other. And I look forward to seeing your happy hashtags. Thanks. Have a good night.